Hey, welcome. This is Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome to Bridges Live. You're going to be listening to a conversation called Black Coffee Conversations, real talk about real issues. It's several black men getting together to talk about issues that are on hand that the youth faces every day. If you want to be involved in Black Coffee Conversations, please inbox me and contact me at drpaulholisticscience.com. What we're trying to do is establish what you call communication between strong black men and black men, whether it be finances, love, relationships, school, education, all the social issues that we have today. Join us for this conversation. If you want to watch a live video, you go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Paul Dyer, Grandmaster, and you can see the live conversation or the video. Here, join the conversation. Thank you for listening to Bridges Live.
Been in PG County, for a good part of my life. Scholarship at James Madison University to play football down there. After that, had like a 2-week stint, with Washington Redskins. But after that, I devoted my life to just, trying to educate the youth. So right now, I'm a dean of students at Calvin Coolidge High School in Washington, D.C., and I've been in the school systems for 20 years, almost 22 years, just working with the youth, trying to help them as much as I possibly can. It's something that I love to do, and just, helping them in every facet possible, from, just whatever it may be in the household to economics to, just being a mentor for them as much as possible.
All right, thanks, Steve. And also, we're part of a Bible study group with our wives and couples on Sunday. So that's how we got to meet. It was real blessing for us to be able to do that. And then Reggie, introduce yourself, Mr. Singleton.
Greetings and hotep, good brothers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm brother Reggie Singleton. I'm the founder and the executive director of Males Place, Inc., which is a nonprofit and 501c3 in Charlotte. And we use some of our time-honored traditions of the African history and experience to socialize and do manhood training for black boys 12 to 18. One of my Masharis, one of our counselors, leads, and guides, Mashari Varnell Bien-Aime is on with us as well. But we do, we draw on some of the time-honored traditions to do manhood training. We focus on mentorship, agriculture, and social justice. We have a travel program where we do regional and international travel. We do lots of agriculture and production, and we distribute to many of the seniors in some of the hardest hit areas in Charlotte in terms of food insecurity.
And he's done a great job. He's been on my show, Bridges Live. We had him on, and because the things that he's doing with the boys and keeping them out of prison and really mentoring them to being not just young boys, but to men. And I like how you instituted that, like almost like a fraternity, where you, that collaboration, how you got them in lockstep, not just because of the pride of what they are, what they wear, but what they do and who they are and who they're going to become. And I really like that. That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Varnell.
Yes, sir.
Dennis, introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my name is Varnell Bien-Aime. I'm one of the Masharis at the Males Place. I'm also a financial advisor, so I try to use my talents and gifts to provide financial literacy and awareness. Everywhere I go, I do workshops, and I work with Bob and Reggie, who gives me an opportunity to share and pour into the young males. It's an opportunity for me to give back to my community and, provide and make a positive impact. I've been in Charlotte since '96, born and raised in New York.
I'm also a New Yorker, so what part of New York? If you say Brooklyn, I'm going to laugh at you.
No, I'm from Long Island.
Oh, I'm a Bronx kid myself, so welcome. I always Brooklyn always likes to take the credit like they're the only New York borough in all of New York. So,
you're right.
They get one Biggie Smalls, and they just think they're the whole world.
That's true. When and you got to see Baba Reggie's rendition of New Yorkers, and I think he's really picking on Brooklyn people.
Well, I'm from the Boogie Down Bronx, where actually DJing and spinning started. So there you go. I want to have a great conversation now. I will be putting this out on social media, and you guys know that, but I'll be sending you guys all the links and all that stuff after it's all over and said and done with. But the ultimate purpose I want to talk about, and I got you guys on, and I'm actually waiting on Dennis from Minnesota, but if he comes on, he comes on. But I want to focus on male conversations that we don't normally have, that young boys don't think other men have about young boys, and getting them where I think we dropped the ball, in short. That's what I think we did. I think we dropped the ball as a collaborative adult. And what do you guys think about that?
I think in some aspects, I would personally say yes, because this is something that I talk to my young men about at school. I know kind of growing up for me, growing up in a single parent household, I had some of the, kind of OGs or whatever you want to call them in the neighborhood who kind of kept us straight. And if there was something that, we did kind of out of bounds, then they would kind of, be there to kind of tap us back into reality and let us know, like, nah, not around here, and I don't know if we had the same thing going on in some of the neighborhoods. I know we do, but I don't know if some of the kids are kind of listening to some of the guys now.
Well, this is Baba Reggie, and I think certainly historically we've had a number of socializing entities within our communities, namely the family, the church, the school, and the community. And there seemed to be a greater cooperation with those respective entities in terms of socializing and educating our young people, transmitting various cultural values and expectations from the past to our younger people from generation to generation. And so in some respects, I think there are some organizations out there, there are certainly individuals out there that are doing some of this transmission from previous generations to the next. But I think I agree with you to a degree in that there have been a dropping of the ball to ensure that our children minimally get what they need. Mm-hmm. For instance, who are you? And who you are more than just your name, more than just whether you have a degree or you're in a fraternity or whether you played sports, but who are you? What are your greater obligations to the community, to the village? I believe that those are things that needs to be inculcated and needs to minimally be ensured into our young people. So to a large degree, I think we have dropped the ball.
I don't remember seeing a black male teacher ever in my education as a youth. I remember seeing them in my martial arts class or teaching. As far as like in my school of education, I don't ever remember seeing an educator in my classrooms. So even when I was rambunctious and getting sent down to the dean's office, now I originally went to Catholic school, so that just seemed to be. We had a lot of black kids in Catholic school because that's where blacks could educate their kids equally. But other than that, that was the 70s. But when I got to public school, I didn't have one black teacher. I didn't have one.
And that's what got me into it. That's what got me into education. It's the same thing. My mother's a teacher, She's been a teacher, for 30-something years, and she's retired now. But, I would hear the stories and so forth that she would tell coming home, and I know how I was in school. Like, for me, I couldn't stay in school. And it was one of those things because I did not see anybody like me. I had classmates and all that other good stuff, but I wanted to learn from somebody older. Mm-hmm. And all I had was, a bunch of, white women, kind of, patting me on my shoulder and so forth. I did have one Jewish lady who kind of took care of me in fourth grade. But other than that, I made it a mission. And I told myself, early, no, I want to be in education. I want to try to help these young men out because I know it's a young man out there like myself who needs some kind of guidance.
I think for me, when I went to prison 32 years ago, I always say, why did I have to go to prison to learn the history of my past? When I went to prison, because it wasn't like they're going to rehabilitate you. I had to rehabilitate myself, but I owe that to martial arts. It's like they say, when a student is ready, their teacher will appear. So all those things that was ingrained in me, it came a point in time at that moment, I could have chose death, but instead I prayed to God and asked if he would give me another chance. I was going to serve him for the rest of my life, and I followed through with that. My motto, I just followed what Malcolm did. I followed with these great ancestors. I had a prison guard that, had rehabilitated his life and said, my mission is to come back to teach brothers like you so you don't have to come back here. So he had a group, it was called a group for men called Who Are You? His exact words is, who the hell are you? So we had to understand history. We had to understand AA. We had to understand the Bible, the Quran, all that stuff. And for me, I realized that there were stories about us as people that I never even learned in school. I thought we started at the plantation. I didn't know we were kings and queens in Africa. I didn't know martial arts came from Africa. So it's like changed my whole life, man. And a lot of people, when they see me, and I know that everybody talked to me about martial arts, but they don't realize if it wasn't that historical element in that man-to-man conversation, I wouldn't be who I am right now.
Right.
And that's my quest. I think, a lot of men don't know their history. They talking mystery. You know what I'm saying? And we got to go and do it. And I continue to do that with my boys. It's like, I need you to understand. I got some boys, I want them to know that I don't care where you live at, don't forget where we come from. Because at the end of the day, they got a base for you that they ain't even in the field. It's called fifth base. Mm-hmm. So I don't care how much we do, whatever's going on, I need you to understand that, and I need you to know how to act when things happen so you don't end up in a place that I ended up in. And I do agree. There's not enough real... It's almost like you feel guilty when you're trying to talk about a black man's issue. It's because, am I going to come across as being racial? Because I say, when I get in the car with my son, I'm fearful that I might get pulled over and something might happen, and you took this little kid who don't know nothing about the hood, and you got him mixed up in there. It's like, but where do you have those conversations that you can't? Because they start labeling you as being, why would you make a racial statement? And everybody else can talk about it. So I never talked about this. I used to be a captain of the Nation of Islam. That changed my life, man. It showed me how to sit, how to talk, how to act. And the beautiful thing about it, because martial arts, I was able to bring a universal perspective because I went to China to know that they looked at us like heroes. Mm-hmm. So I tried in my martial arts. You know me. I talk about it. I want people to know, and I'm not promoting martial arts. If it wasn't my way of the hood, you wouldn't even be doing martial arts. Right, it was the hood where all of this started at. But now you can't even find it in the hood. That's sad. As a black man, I'm trying to make sure we understand. By way of the hood, that's how Bruce Lee and all these things came about. But none of that stuff is in our communities.
And there's another thing that's not in our communities because, again, with me, we can always say, like, the single mom I came from, my dad was a Black Panther and what he talked about. But when I went to the military and I got through all this combative issues and I have all these issues, just recently, I just came out of the psych ward. Mm-hmm. I just got out today, early this morning. I've been in there for 4 days because I sunk into such a depression that I didn't know where to go, but it was only my martial arts that kept me sane. But I knew to ask for help. I knew to say, hey, you know what? I need help. I need to go someplace. But you know where I went to was the VA, and that's all been done. But what I would have liked to have gone to go to a place where there's some brothers in there who were also maybe in the military to say, hey, I know exactly where you were. I know exactly where you come from. So this is what you need to do. Because I was thinking about the pressure of not working, right, during the pandemic, not earning enough money. My wife is all stressed out, and I'm like, what do I need to do, and how can I be, and how can I do? And it just fell on my shoulders like, I'm not a good man, I'm not a good black man, and I'm not being able to take care of my woman, right? So that was just things that I was going on in my head and in my heart. But that was something I was never taught.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry, somebody going to say?
Yeah, I was going to make a comment. The fact that, I agree as far as dropping the ball, but the mentorship has always been there. But the problem is that we were coming against the brothers in the streets who were mentoring our kids.
Yeah.
And they were looking at the kids as a way to monetize. And as long as there was a way of financial disparity, then the conversation with the guy on the block was always going to be, don't you want to help your mom? Don't you want to do this? You got to do that. And so that economic warfare was part of the reasons why we lost some of the footing. There was no honor in telling someone to get a job at UPS when the other dude was flashing all this and that, being a street pharmacist. So we lost the stronghold that we had on our kids because, in our parenting, some of us shared way too much about the bills and things like that, and then the kids felt like they had to contribute, and there was no jobs in the hood. There was no jobs. So, our kids, they were being mentored by people who was putting some money in their pocket, and that was the lifestyle that they wanted. So,
and it's funny that you say that because when I talk to the kids, give me the baddest kid, okay? And what I hit on in the 70s, those guys said, "Do what I say, not what I do." In the 80s, they said, "Do what I do." And when you understand the cultural differences, and that's what I teach with martial arts. All what I teach come from the inner city that I came up doing those 70s. It was about keeping your door open. It was about showing respect to the grandparents. We had community centers back then. We had mentors. But when, I hate to go there, but when the Reagan era came and you took all those things that allowed us to have block parties and eat frozen cups and go to the movies. I mean, life was good. For anybody to say the hood is bad, that's when that crack hit the hood. Right. Before then, them drug dealers had a code. Nah, shorty, go to school. I'm one of those kids. If it wasn't for those sort of things that they did, I sold drugs because I made that choice. My dad took me to the jail and said, that's no place for a black man. I made that choice. It wasn't until I realized that, hold up. If I say I was poor and I didn't have leadership, we had Christmas, we had dinners. My dad told me every time you talk to a man, you say, thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. So all what I represent, I make it clear, it comes from my parents that did the best they did in the community centers that I still work with to this day. That same community center that raised me at 13 years old, I still go back to Baltimore and I try to be that. But I think that it was that switch in the game, and I don't want to say that, when they put those low, inexpensive drugs in the hand of kids who was just kids, and they thought they can be a gangster by blowing somebody's brains out with no code. Come on, enough promoting this. But think about it. Like every race of people, they use the hustling game to escape and build a business. Absolutely.
Those older guys, I'm not promoting that, but that was the code and ethic. And somewhere along the way, I'm not going to go into that, but it was set up. I mean, where are the community centers? Where are all those things that raised us when you coming up of that 70 era? Where, come on. It was good times. It was fun times. It instilled such morals and principles in us. And then at one time, all that stuff was gone. You're right. All you see now is a hustler trying to fake like he was a moneymaker.
So, Reggie, I know when you started the Males Place, how did you, enough to get to the kids, to go get them and talk to them where they're at? How did you do that?
It's a great question. In fact, much of my inspiration and motivation came from after I graduated from college. I graduated from the University of South Carolina in 1985. And my first job was working in with the Department of Corrections. So I was in I was a medium max facility, and some of the best conversation, some of the greatest inspiring young people that I met were brothers that were incarcerated. I met brothers who were with the nation. Met young brothers who had other experiences, but some of the common things I saw was that most of them didn't have no support system, no safety nets, no guidance, and many of them didn't have any money, and therefore could not get good lawyers to get them off. So rather than, so I realized that even at that age, I was probably 24, 25, I realized that to really make a difference with my people and solve some of this problem in terms of guiding black boys to be men, I needed to get in on the front end. Okay. So I realized that mentorship was not intended to replace effective parenting, but if we were able to have a level of influence, particularly in the homes like where mine were, where I grew up without my father. I had 7 sisters, and so mentorship. Then I started through introducing hoops and introducing conferences, and then added the weekly manhood training piece. So we're an African-centered, male-centered program. Our 3 tenets are mentorship, particularly from an Afrocentric standpoint, in agriculture. I grew up out on the Sea Islands. I'm a Gullah Geechee. So, yes, sir.
You're the original Geechee man.
No doubt, brother. No doubt. So I realized that a lot of those, and I got involved in the food system very early too. I was doing seasonal migrant work at the age of 5, picking cucumbers, tomatoes, and all that. And so I saw the exploitation in the food system. But later on, saw that would be an opportunity to not only engage our people, because you're bringing forth life through food and production. So we started our program in the 90s, and then evolved in the around 2009. Not only have the mentorship component, a weekly training every Wednesday from 6 to 8, and of course we haven't been stalled as a result of COVID. We still meet through Zoom. But so we do agriculture is our second tenet, and on Saturdays we do our agricultural work. We produce food, we process, we distribute, and educate black boys on issues around food sovereignty, because it has to be more. We want to do more than just merely being consumers and eating slave food. And so we educate them on reasons why it's necessary that they be engaged in the food system, and why it's important that we profit from the food system. So it is mentorship, agriculture, and the third tenet, or the third piece, is service. We get out and we do a lot of community service, particularly for the seniors in Charlotte. And 2 weeks ago, we had a very, very successful, high-profile distribution of kale, collards, and sweet potatoes. And the reasons why we wanted to do that was we felt it was important that black men be out front and very, very vocal in terms of feeding our people. Unfortunately, a lot of the white-led food banks who profit from these food that is nutritionally depleted in a lot of ways, they're feeding to our people, and unfortunately, a lot of folks are not concerned at all where the food is from or who's profiting off of it. But we're trying to be a bigger player in the food system here and to control our own economics and really push this issue about self-sufficiency and self-reliance. And so we've been, so we have a travel program. We've traveled around the country. In addition to travel to we've been to Ghana, West Africa twice. We've gone to Cuba. Our plans was to go to Egypt in this December here. We've modified that because of COVID and hope to visit my brother in D.C. We're going to do a Egypt on the Potomac and visit the new museum and visit some of the Black Land Grant schools while we're up there. So we're a comprehensive program.
Well, you can come to my school anytime.
Right. Yeah, when you come up, you let us know, and I know the three of us who are in this area would love to join forces and meet and meet your kids and meet you face to face and have this conversation live, which is great. I also have another question. We have a tumultuous time where we know black boys are being killed or black men are being killed. It has always been an issue, but it seems to be more prominent. How do you think in this COVID, there's a lot of black boys who've been separated from us?
Right.
Now, I know you did a live. You keep your school pretty tight, Will, and you keep your boys in live Zoom and things like that. But how can we keep our boys alive? What do you think we could do better?
In fact, we got a local minister here, Brother Corey Muhammad, who's going to do a session for us on Zoom this coming Wednesday. It's going to be on conflict resolution. And one thing that's very clear to me, brothers, is this. I'm not sure the day, the time, or when, but we all will be confronted by belligerent police officers or security guards or people who present them as an authority, because just like with the Trayvon Martin situation, you got white vigilantes out there who believe that it is their God-given inalienable right to control us, and that, in the words of Roger B. Taney, that we as black men have no rights in which they need to regard. So we try to instill within our young men to recognize insanity, to recognize foolishness wherever it may exist. And if it means retreating or removing themselves from that predicament, then that's their first thing. But but we also want to teach them, and that's why my good brother who's doing the martial arts piece is so important. We do a great deal of fitness as well, because we use the word warrior very intentionally, because we want our boys to be physically, mentally, spiritually, morally, educationally, culturally strong. So if and when it comes, and if it's past debate, and if it's past being able to argue or negotiate a position, if you got to defend yourself or your interests, you need to be able to do that. So we really try to get our guys to make good decisions, to make good choices about who they're around and what they're exposed to. But people come to us because of word of mouth or because of some of the high-profile activities that we do. But it's really important during this period right here, during COVID, because the data shows that we significantly regress during out-of-school time. So we got to keep our people engaged.
Well,
they make an option, not for us. So we meet through Zoom, we meet through other technology. In fact, we still get together and do farming too. So, but you got to keep them engaged.
You know, the interesting thing is that you said on that, what I try to do, the character is the most important. If you read my book, I done been beat up by police. I mean, but the beautiful blessing is that I now teach those same people that I used to have a lot of anger issues towards. But that took a lot of, self-knowledge, knowledge of self, understanding my part that I played. And now when I teach the kids, I mean, first of all, like you said, I got to get them to respect and know that you don't have to sell drugs and do all the things that I did, because now I've been running my own business since I was 16 years old. I came out of jail with $20 in a dream, and look at what I did without any drug money and without any ignorance. I understand how the world look at me, but I got to be the opposite of what they want me to be. And that's what we teach in martial arts. The last thing I want to do is fight. Everybody else that talk about kill and destroy, they can talk about that, but it ain't the same for us. So when I learned to be a peaceful warrior, you don't know what to do with the peaceful warrior. And that's what martial arts is really all about. It's the art of fighting without fighting. The most powerful warrior is the one that can walk in a room and be about peace and harmony. And I'm sorry, man, I take this so because I don't want to be. It's easy to fight and hurt. It's harder to love and build and be selfless. How could a guy be locked in a maximum security prison and practice martial arts every day and not get one fight? So when that Chinese man or whoever over there telling you, kill, I'm going to show you how to hurt something, maybe he ain't been in no damn hood that we done came up in. That ain't going to work there. So let's teach them, let's train like a maniac. And you know, when you take your body to do such devastating football training, you less likely to want to be egotistical because you know what you can do. That's that knowledge of self. And, you know, that's what I tell them, man. Character, man. When it's time to go a certain place, dress a certain way. Pull your pants up. Yeah. We can't walk with a hoodie over our head. Even me, when I see a brother walk behind me, they done took the drug dealer lifestyle and made it fashionable. That don't work for us. No, that ain't nothing but a drug dealer lifestyle. Your boots open, your hood up. That's what we did. I'm trying to tell you, don't be that way. That policeman call you over and say whatever, beat him up. Learn how to sucker up. Yes, sir. No, sir. No problem, sir. It's your world, sir. He got the upper hand. The kids don't know that no more. We got freedom, but freedom comes responsibility. You got to show a responsible behavior that will not escalate the situation. And I'm speaking from experience. I know what it's like to live in the projects and the police try to run your damn head into the wall and leave you for dead. But now I know that God has blessed me to be able to teach them policemen kids today. Yeah. And to be able to work with the same people I thought I had. I'm sorry, man. I just take it so personal because I know what it's like. And the last thing I want is my kids. I got a son that's 35 years old. I'm so happy that I was able to raise him and he never been to jail. Now we got 2 more. I want you to understand that regardless of what, we always got to struggle, but we got to be the opposite of what they're expecting us to be. They want you to explode because of our energy. What about if you do whatever you want to do to me, I keep loving you. You can't do nothing to me. That's what I teach with martial arts.
Che.
What do you got, G?
I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say the same thing. You know, in the classroom, in the school buildings, man, we see it all day, every day. Just the kind of lack of respect that they have, you know, whether it be for elders. And I work in a building, this is the building that, this is the most male-heavy building I've ever worked in, and black male-heavy building at that. And we are constantly trying to talk to these young brothers, trying to get them on the right page. And I know growing up, man, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see and be around a building where it was nothing but strong black men, man, who have been, you know, through NCAA and other organizations, martial arts. And it's right there in D.C. I work there. I love it. But it's just kind of like what you all was saying is, man, it's kind of this street life. And we've seen it growing up. I know all of us have. But this street life, man, is pulling these kids at an alarming rate. I mean, it is pulling them back in, and, you know, with everything that we're trying to do in the buildings and so forth, like, you know, you were saying, do the opposite. Now, everything I read, I have books all over the place, and I read them, and I formulate questions for the kids and come up with some kind of reflection for them and so forth. And one of the things that I had is, of course, the Willie Lynch letter, and we all know how that went.
Yeah.
I go in there and I pull out and talk to them about how to do everything opposite of what they asked, you know, or were telling folks to do. And man, some of them grab it, very few, I hate to say. But a lot of them are just like, man, I don't want to hear that. Excuse my mom. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't man. And I'm like, come on, guys.
So let me ask you this question. I know you can't do it in the school system, but do we need to snatch these boys and say, listen?
Like, how can I say? I wouldn't say snatch them, but you know, just like my gentleman with the better attitudes makers. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's getting to them as best he possibly can. And I'm gonna be honest, gentlemen, and we all know it. Man, we can't save everybody. I hate saying that to myself sometimes, but and it drives me insane to think about it. But I hate to say it, some people have to learn from some of the guys that they see who just don't want to make the right decisions. You know, like at my school, we had some kids who brought a gun to school, and you know, one of them came back because, you know, kind of DC is very whatever with all that kind of stuff. But the other guy left. He wound up, you know, getting shot or something. So, you know, it's a lot.
I don't want to cut you off, but Varnell, we got the meeting's about ready to close up. What do you want to say to this, Varnell?
I was going to say that whenever you're dealing with a child, especially in a non-traditional educational setting, it becomes a little different because in the traditional setting, it's them versus authority. Yep. So they're going to give them the respect because of its authority. But if it's a non-traditional setting, that respect for you has to get earned. And you earn that respect when they realize that you care. And so you can't get that close without relations. Right. And so that takes time. So in order for us to grab